Got married very early, had children, went back to do my MBA about 2003. I now live in Dubai. I've been in Dubai for 5 years. I run an HR consultancy company which I set up about 2.5 years ago. And in the 5 years that I've been in Dubai, I've been fortunate enough to be in some very privileged positions, working with different industry sectors and companies, focusing on HR. What I'm going to talk to you about today, Afsar had kindly given me a very interesting topic, seizing new opportunities through value-added HR. I hope I will be able to share my experience with you. I'm not going to talk from a theoretical, conceptual perspective. I'm going to try and share with you real-life experiences and what I've been able to do in the region and how perhaps my customers, managers, employees, shareholders found that of value and what I learned from that process. Okay, so please, if you have any questions, if you want to add anything as I go through, I'm not fussy about that, talk with me, okay? Thank you. Okay, so let's first of all, before we move on to what is value-added HR, let's just have a look at what does really a good and effective HR function, what should that be delivering to any business? So I've summarized it here for you. I think it's about developing and delivering a strategy that is in line with the business objective. First and foremost, where is your business heading? And from a people perspective, what is it that you have to do to ensure that the business gets there? So alignment of your HR practices, your day-to-day transactions to your strategic interventions need to be aligned to the business and where it's heading. So if you don't understand what impact you make, you're going to struggle to come up with the right strategies. Managing the employee life cycle, that's our bread and butter. So that's the stuff that we have to get right, and we shouldn't be focusing too much time. There's plenty of systems, plenty of processes and practices, and we know how much life can be made easier. So if you're spending a lot of your time in managing the employee life cycle, then think again. Because those, hopefully, we can enable processes, enable systems and things to really make life easier, not only for ourselves, but for our employees, to allow us to have time to focus on the more important aspects. Very important aspect, although it is, doesn't mean take away from it, but actually should all of our energy and focus. And how many people in your organization are focused on managing the day-to-day things? So have a think about that. And then, of course, one of the most important elements is around developing an employer brand. Why would anybody want to come to work for your company? Why would they want to stay there? Why would they want to come to work, spend 8, 9, 10 hours a day with your company and stay there for years to come? Why would they ask other people to come? What is it that your company offers? So developing an employer brand in terms of from an external perspective, but more importantly from an internal perspective, is very, very important. So strategic alignment, and I've put some emphasis there on customer focus, because colleagues, if we don't know who our customers are and we don't really interface or see the people that we serve as our clients and our customers, then I think our survival is limited. It's very easy to outsource, as you know, services, and unless we're very customer focused, service oriented, doesn't matter whether we're HR professionals, and absolutely everything is about service orientation. Okay, so we know what a good HR function should look like. Therefore, what is value-added HR? Anybody want to have a go? Any offers? Everyone going to tell me what they think value-added HR is? Yes?
An HR which can business partner with the business.
Very good.
And provide the kind of advice and direction that the business requires to move on.
Very good. The advice and direction. Value-added HR is about steering the business, not responding to what you're being told to do. Absolutely spot on. Sir, you were going to say something.
Just adding a little extra. What is expected by the customer?
Yes.
Is value-added.
Value-added. Again, very important. Value-added is not how I see it as an HR professional. Value is for the customer. Does my customer perceive that to add value? Now, this is a very important aspect. So value refers directly to a product or service that adds worth to your customer. Now, unless you know who your customer is, first and foremost, you're not going to be able to add value. So who are our customers? Employees, yeah? Who else? It's on the screen. Yeah? managers, your customer, the end user of your service or product or whatever your business does. Equally, we're serving them. We can and need to consider how we impact on that customer. And of course, the shareholder. So we have a responsibility and accountability to each of those parties. We're not just around internal customers. So it's important to understand what your customer values. And the importance here, because not every customer is the same. Not every organization is in the same place from an organizational development perspective. Some organizations actually, when they perhaps in a startup organizations, need you to focus on getting the processes right, getting the best practice in place, etc. That's what's going to add value. So if you're over here talking about what might happen in 10 years' time, they're going to say, I need this now, I need this today. That's what's going to add value for me. So understanding your customer is important. Understanding where your organization is in that development and what is going to add value to that organization in the short term, mid-term and long term is equally very important. So in order to be able to understand that, you have to be able to know where the business is heading. What are the needs today? What do I need to know to fix it? So understanding what will add value, really you need to understand your customer as opposed to tell them what will add value. Sorry, can you go back a second? Not only is adding, to make added value come to life, and it isn't a set of words, we need really to be able to measure. So how do we, and through which means do we add value? So what is the measure of the impact? So if we really are going to truly be more than about doing the day-to-day stuff and add value back in the business so that the business wouldn't want to part from that, we need to measure how we make what that impact looks like for each of our customers. So impact, a measure of the impact of what we do is very, very important. So let's have a look at those measures. Thank you. So how do we measure value? In order to measure value or how much value HR adds to business, we need to refocus on what it is we measure. If we look at the traditional measures of tracking activities, how many of this did we recruit or how many of that did we, and what was our attrition levels, which is all focused in the past as opposed to the future, for example. You know, as HR transforms, as it goes through a transformation, those sorts of measures may not longer be applicable. We need to think beyond what we did yesterday in telling the business, this is what we delivered to you. We need to be able to think, okay, how are we driving performance? What is our contribution to the business? So is that all they're expecting of us, to have 10 people ready to start on this day, and we've been through a recruitment process and it took us 3 months to get there? Do we know how that really makes a difference to the business? So measures, we need to rethink how we measure HR and what we do. We need to think about realigning what HR does so it's business driven as opposed to HR driven. It's a big mindset change. So is this, measure yourself from the business output as opposed to just an internal HR output. Quantifying that, so being able to put some figures and facts and actually putting a measure of that is very, very important. How much money did your HR function save the company last year? Are you able to say these are the practices we put in place? Productivity, cost efficiencies are the #1 on everyone's agenda at the moment. What did you do as an organization, an HR organization, to contribute to that bottom line? Innovative measures, so think outside the box, think differently of innovative measures that demonstrate the value of HR by driving business performance. So actually, when people see the results, they see that you're driving performance. You shouldn't have to convince them of how you're adding value. The end result of what that delivers, hopefully, will see the correlation. HR measures need to be realigned to activities and behaviors, not only of HR professionals, but of your management team. Strong focus, I think we need to move from just focusing on employees to really growing management capability, because that's where the power in the organization lies. If we're going to drive change in any organization, if we're going to grow capability in an organization, the focus needs to be on the management capability. If you don't have well-equipped managers, people that haven't been trained, supported, coached, mentored, who haven't had the experience to be exposed to projects that's going to give them learning. Lots and lots. It's all not about being just in a classroom, but focus on the growing the management capability, because that's where you'll have most impact. Through your management team, you'll be able to cascade and hopefully raise performance through the organization. So, what sort of measures, if we look around our customers, from an employee satisfaction perspective, from the management perspective, looking at how effective and efficient our practices are, how much do they contribute, looking at customer satisfaction, and perhaps the market value from a shareholder perspective. Okay, so what is the impact of HR initiatives had on my business, and where is the shareholder value? Where is the value of my shares? What market price am I going to get, etc.? That's what I'm interested in. So interesting, you can see your 4 customers in the same at the same time will be interested in different measures. And that's what we need to start thinking more broadly about, rather than reporting on how many transactions we completed this month or the last month. Thank you. So, as we go forward in terms of adding value, what you put focus on in terms of what you measure is what you'll start to get. Okay? Thank you. So let me talk to you about a couple of my experiences. And the interesting thing is that every customer is different. Every customer is in a different place at a different time, and different things are important. Yes, of course, they may be driven by the same social or economic drivers and those sorts of things, but actually, in terms of where they are as an organization, they're all in different places expecting different things. So the role we have to play is to be able to adapt to that and understand that to be able to deliver strategies to meet that. Abu Dhabi Aircraft Technologies, it's an aircraft engineering company, manages all of the engineering for Etihad Airways in Abu Dhabi. We were fortunate enough to be engaged in a major transformation program with them for about 18 months. And the background really was a new ownership. It was moving from a government-owned company to more of a commercially driven company that was taken over by Mubadala. And the strategy was really to prepare this company for be more competitive on a global scale through acquisitions and developing their organizational capability from a technical perspective, so that they could take more market share. So they wanted to be a global player. Here they were in Abu Dhabi, who suddenly woke up and realized actually the aviation industry in this part of the world is going to boom, and there's space here and we want some of this. Yeah, that's the bottom line really. So what were they doing? So the driver really came from the shareholder perspective. It wasn't the employee. The employees, 3,500 of them, were very happy. They came in at 9 o'clock and went home at 3. You know, policies, yeah, it's okay, we're fine, you know. There were probably way too many people in the organization than they actually needed, but everybody was fairly happy. And then came along this whole shift of we need to be a corporate organization, we need to be competitive, we need to be market driven, we need policies. Not only do we need to re-engineer our processes, but they implemented a new Oracle system across the organization that wasn't just about implementing a system, it was about driving change in the way that the company operated. So the processes, re-engineering everything through efficiency. So if we're going to implement and spend $25 million, I think it was, on a new system, what's the benefit we're going to get back for that? Do I need lesser people to do this? Do I need better people to do this? Do I need different people to do this? In addition to that, are my policies in line with best practice? So if I'm looking to acquire a company in Switzerland, for example, why would they start and come talk to me? Why would they play with me? Why would I be able to talk to them in partnership? Do I have best practices in place?